Let's dive into a massive challenge that every leader faces at some point: organizational transformation. I mean, why do so many of these big, ambitious projects just fizzle out? Today, we're going to look at a really unique approach from a firm called Cleary Premium. Their whole idea is this: stop managing change like it's a project and start writing it like it's a story.
So let's just start with a pretty shocking number. Some studies show that up to 85% of major corporate transformations fail. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's a huge, huge failure rate. It's the kind of thing that keeps executives up at night. So the real question is, what are we all getting so wrong?
Well, according to Cleary Premium, the problem is that we're looking at transformation all wrong. We get stuck managing it like it's just another project, with rigid timelines, checklists, and deliverables. But what if it's not a project at all? What if it's a story, a narrative about people evolving, with human beings right at the center of it?
Okay, so how do you actually do that? How do you go from being a project manager to a storyteller? This is where Cleary's Premium's answer gets really interesting. They've built their entire approach on this cool blend of ancient wisdom and modern-day discipline. Let's unpack what that really means.
First off, they don't call themselves consultants. Nope, they're transformation scribes. And this idea is actually rooted deep in history. They draw inspiration from ancient Egyptian record keepers and those Irish scholars who basically save knowledge for future generations. See, the idea is that a scribe doesn't just show up and force change on you. They listen, they observe, and they help the organization document its own story of how it's going to evolve.
And this whole dual identity thing, it's baked right into their name, Cleary. On one hand, it has that family feel, right? It suggests a partner you can trust. But its root is also the Irish word for scholar, which brings in that idea of knowledge, wisdom, and discipline. So it's a promise that you're getting both the empathy and the expertise.
All right, so the philosophy is pretty compelling. But what does it look like in the real world? How does it actually work? Well, this is where we get into what they call the scribe's toolkit, the specific models and methods they bring to the table to guide you on this journey.
Their whole identity is built on three really powerful symbols. First, you've got the scribe, which represents who they are, the guides. Then there's the scarab, an ancient symbol of renewal, which is all about what they do, making transformation happen. And finally, there's the triangle, which represents how they work.
Now, this triangle is super important. It symbolizes their Trinity partnership model. And this is not some top-down, we tell you what to do approach. Not at all. It's about a balanced partnership between three essential groups: the company's management, its employees, and Cleary Premium, who act as the guide. The whole point is that real, lasting change can only happen when all three of those voices are working together in harmony.
And that partnership model is brought to life by their Trinity delivery method. It's a really simple but powerful three-step process. First, you think deeply to really nail down the purpose and get crystal clear on the why. Then you connect authentically to build trust and get everyone on board. And finally, you act decisively to make it happen with precision. It's about making sure the head, the heart, and the hands of the organization are all moving in sync.
This all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually feel like to work with these guys? What's the tangible promise they're making to their clients when they walk in the door?
It really comes down to this beautiful balance between two core areas: the mind and the heart. On the mind side, you've got all the intellectual stuff: wisdom, clarity, discipline. And on the heart side, you've got the human element: humanity, partnership, and harmony. The big takeaway here is their core belief that you absolutely cannot have successful, sustainable change without both. One without the other just doesn't work. They actually sum up what makes them different with this term they call the quattro porte, which means four doors. These are their four big differentiators. You have the scribe's lens, which is about deep listening. There's heritage-driven innovation, blending old wisdom with new ideas. Of course, the Trinity model for real partnership, and transformational stewardship, which is all about awakening change from within the company, not forcing it from the outside.
And here it is, the difference in a nutshell. The old way is very transactional. We provide project management consulting. But the Cleary way is truly transformational. We are transformation scribes helping you write your next chapter. It's a massive shift in purpose, isn't it? You're going from just providing service to literally co-authoring the company's future.
So, what can a client expect when they sign on? Well, the promise is threefold. You get the mind of a scholar, deeply analytical and full of insight. You get the heart of a partner, empathetic, loyal, and truly in it with you. And you get the discipline of a builder, somebody who is methodical and laser-focused on getting results. It's really the whole package for creating change that actually sticks.
So, where does all of this lead? What's the ultimate goal of a journey like this? Well, it all circles back to that central, powerful metaphor, the story.
Their goal is, frankly, audacious. They want to completely flip that failure statistic we started with on its head. Remember that dismal success rate? Cleary Premium is aiming to push that to over 70%. And they plan to do it by empowering change to grow from the inside rather than just imposing it from the outside.
There's this wonderful Italian proverb that just captures their philosophy perfectly. Chi via piano va sano e va lontano. It means who goes slowly, goes safely, and goes far. And that's the whole idea, right? Sustainable change can't be rushed. It needs a deliberate, thoughtful pace that respects not just the goals, but also the people who have to live that change every single day.
And that brings us to our final question, one for you to really think about. When you consider your own organization's story, its current challenges, and all of its untapped potential, is it ready to turn the page? Is it ready to start writing its next chapter? And what would that story even look like?